Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and we're going to be talking about test audiences and what they can change in movies.
Ooh, testing. We release new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. Check out our video section. If you like us, give us a like. If you'd like to see more, hit a little subscribe and a notification. As always, comment down below and let us know what you think. So on with the test audiences.
Yes, test audiences or test screenings, as they're also known. So these are kind of things when you want to kind of like see how well the movie's going to take and stuff. So you kind of view a version of the film a couple of months, before your actual release date. You choose an audience from a massive population kind of choice, different backgrounds in it as well. They'll fill out questionnaires and everything. They'll see the film, and then at the end they'll do a focus group where they'll be like, I didn't like this, I didn't like that kind of stuff, and then they gather all the data. They'll bring it to the production crew, and they'll be like, maybe change these things around and stuff like that.
This is what's tracking well and this is what's not tracking well. And here's something I'm going to tell Paul that I didn't tell him before all this, while we were doing all our stuff. I have been part of... Yes, I've been part of this process more than once, actually. And it was for TV shows, and it's while I was in America. And I signed myself up to go and basically sit there and turn a dial. So you have to give all your information, and you turn a dial to say whether or not you're liking or disliking. So it shows them a graph of if there's somebody you really don't like when they walk on screen, you'd be like, I'm going to turn it down just to make sure that they know I don't like this character or actor, if you're that way spiteful. But yeah, it's an interesting little process now. I've never been part of a movie test audience. I know that's a slightly different process.
Yeah, a little bit more extensive, I guess.
Yeah, and being a bit of a nerd, I did talk to the testing people a little bit to ask them things like that. And it is different for movie testing. But it's interesting how much of an effect some of the stuff that we found, particularly some of the stuff you found. One thing in particular you'll see surprised the hell out of me when Paul said it and knew it. And I was like, how did I not know that?
Yeah, I kind of got interested because it's coined from Harold Lloyd did the first one in like 1928, which is like, I was looking this up going like, what's interesting? What do I not know about the post stuff kind of thing? And 1928 was the first one.
There wasn't that much in cinema at the time. So test audiences must have been like, all right, your qualifications have to be you're not going to freak out when we show you a moving picture.
Yeah. Some of this might be in colour.
Yeah.
No, not in colour at all that time.
Want somebody running out because they thought it was magic happening in front of them. The test audiences were all freaked out. Why? Because they thought it was witchcraft.
Yeah. So, So what the first one that we're going to talk about, the first movie that we that was affected by the test audience or the test screening was Goodfellas.
See, this is the one that caught me by surprise.
Yeah. So Scorsese never had to do a test audience until then.
And
That was the
I
first
love
movie.
Goodfellas, and I didn't know this. Like, I watch Goodfellas once every year, maybe every 2 years.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that this was his first test screening.
Yeah. Supposedly in 1990, it was the first time he ever went through the process of a test screening.
And what happened? Because this is the really interesting thing.
Well, like supposedly in the first 10 minutes of the test screening, loads of people walked out. They were too kind of like, this is too bloody for us, for me and stuff. And the opening is quite bloody,
Yeah, there's some psychotic people in that film. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, there's a lot of very crazy good fellas.
So yeah, it's a good
Let's
one.
see what I did there.
So like a large amount of people walked out in the first 10 minutes of the film, and then the part that they highlighted as kind of the part that needed to change mostly was the ending part with Henry Hill.
Yeah,
the character Henry Hill.
This is, and for anybody who has seen the film, this will be a section, a sequence, or a scene that you'll really remember. It's his last day. Where he is coked up and manic and moving around and calling back to get, his brother to stir the sauce. It's a really, really artfully edited and well done piece. But apparently, originally, it was really long and really slow.
Yeah.
And the test audience pointed that out.
Yeah.
So thank you, that test audience, for giving Scorsese and his editor the ability. Was it Schumann?
Yeah, Shoemaker.
That's an incredible scene. So it's brilliant that that's what we find out about this. So test audiences can really work in our favor.
Yeah, no, definitely. They just thought it's too slow, it's too tense. We don't like it, and then Scorsese went back and they were just like jump cuts. It gives a view of kind of like the manic behavior of the last character or the character and everything. So it was a really good choice.
Oh, it's brilliant, and it plays to his paranoia brilliantly. It's just great filmmaking, and I'm kind of thinking I've given Scorsese too much credit over the years, because the test audience had to come up with how. I don't know, Scorsese. Maybe you're not the real genius. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. What else? So that's one good effect.
Yeah. So another one is which is the Little House of Horrors.
The Little Shop of Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah. So Little House.
Yeah.
That sounds like the
It's like an evil little house in the prairie.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this one is that the main characters, Audrey and Seymour, are eaten by Audrey 2.
Yeah. So the gigantic plant at the center of it all kills them in the end of the stage play
and eats them. Yeah.
Yeah. Seymour, feed me, and ends up eating Seymour.
Yeah, exactly. And test audiences thought that this is they didn't like the fact that essentially their the beloved couple kind of passed away and stuff like that. So they kind of it was one of those. It veered away from the source material completely. The test audiences didn't really like that the lovable couple were killed off. So the director kind of went back and made a more kind of like happy.
Yeah, they got extra money to go back and basically reshoot.
The studio also didn't like it, and they gave it $5 million extra to go back and change the ending.
Which is why, if we can find a link, will be in the description down below. You can watch the original ending on YouTube, because I have seen it before. I'll be honest with you, maybe it's my dark sensibility. I prefer them getting eaten at the end. It tracks a little bit more, but I understand the test audience fell in love with the title couple, and they were really sweet and weird because it's a weird film.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's also an extended.
I would have eaten them.
You would have eaten them?
I would have eaten, as not myself, but I would have had them.
If you were the Seymour or the Audrey 2, you would have eaten them?
I would have. If I was a gigantic plant, I'd eat lots of things.
There's actually an extended thing where it's like loads of the plants arrive.
Oh, the invasion from space version.
Kind of one, and everybody gets them, and then the one Audrey 2 was like massive, and it's an
like
event.
King Kong hanging off. I think I've seen that. Yeah.
So our next one is Andrew Wright's Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which is a film we both really like. It's a film that I've ranted about before on this channel because I love it. Mm-hmm. That's one of those interesting ones where the whole way through the film, the titular character Scott Pilgrim is trying to win the affection of one character, whereas there's another character, Knives, who he's kind of messed over a little bit.
Yeah.
In the end, it's about who will he go with.
Yeah.
And essentially, they shot both. In the long run, they ended up shooting both.
Yeah. So in Edgar Wright's original ending, which is Scott Pilgrim ends up with Knives Chow.
Yeah.
He thought that this was kind of like the better. Or no, I won't speak for the man.
Yeah.
But it was seen as kind of like the logical conclusion to the story kind of thing.
And it's also in keeping with the source material, I think.
No, it's the other way around.
Oh, is it the other way around? Okay.
I think it is.
I'm not too sure anymore.
Oh no, I'm worried now.
Comments down below. One or both of us are always wrong. So he then has to. Well, not he then has to. So that's what tested with audiences.
As in, sorry, the ending was Knives Chow that he ended up with.
Yeah.
And the test audiences preferred that he ended up with Ramona Flowers because throughout the film he was fighting for her and everything.
That was the object of his affection.
Yeah, and it was the original ending was Ramona Flowers,
right,
kind of thing. So Edgar Wright had to he essentially made two endings, and if I'm not mistaken, he released the two different versions into different cinemas.
Oh, he did some A/B testing. He was like,
I think so, because I remember seeing it with Knives Chow, and I remember later on seeing it with Ramona Flowers. Now I know that is a feature on the DVD as well, or on the Blu-rays and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, memory. It's a bit of a Mandela effect. You never remember what you remember.
Yeah. So,
but as far as it goes, that's probably the best case for a test audience giving feedback on an ending, because some people are going to prefer it one way or the other. But isn't it great when you end up with both being shot? So when you have the DVD or the extended cuts, you can actually experience both. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it also split audiences a lot. Like a lot of people were saying that he should have ended up in Knives Chow, and then a lot of other people were saying no, Ramona, because he fought for her. So it's an interesting kind of like.
Who would you have gone with? Well, not who you would have gone with, but who would you have chosen Scott Pilgrim to end up with?
I think Ramona Flowers makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, story-wise for me too.
Because I think not like I also feel for the character Knife Show. He cheats on her.
Yeah.
And I think that character at the end becomes very strong.
Yeah, and it's not really taking him back is not exactly. Yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
The character development seems to go backwards in that sense.
Yep.
So, the next one, which is one that I think you like, is the 28 Days Later, which is ending.
Yeah.
Which is bleak as hell.
Yeah.
The original ending, it had the main character getting shot and his two female companions trying to save him in a hospital, and then he passes away and they run off to try survive the rest of the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. So you kill your star and then you have everybody go off basically to an unknown but more than likely death with an apocalypse, essentially. Yeah. Good, dark ending, which is perfectly in keeping with the zombie apocalypse stuff in the film.
Yeah, that film specifically really should have had that bleak ending. Now I know once again on DVD extras they had the two endings. They had a few endings actually, but test audiences didn't like the bleak ending.
Surprise, surprise. Toughen up, people.
So they wanted a little bit more of the optimistic ending kind of thing. So I believe he survives.
Yeah. So what you end up getting is a more hopeful ending, where the zombies starve or whatever.
Well, I think because we got 28 weeks later,
yeah, we
got the kind of, it's still the conclusion of going on kind of thing, so that's good. Interesting tidbit, the plane in the film that he looks up at, Cillian Murphy looks up at, is not part of the movie. It was just a plane flying over the set. It was making so much noise that not Edgar Wright, I'm in copy of the the director filmed it as well, and they took on the whole thing that the rest of the world wasn't facing as much of the problems as England was.
Got a way to think on your feet. Good job. Yeah. Just like that's an I'm walking here moment. You know the ad lib from Midnight Cowboy. Insert. I'm walking here. I'm walking here. There you go. I don't know how long that sequence is. My pause mightn't have been long enough. So how do you feel about the idea of audiences being a bit like, I don't want to leave the cinema sad. Can we have a happy ending?
I think it's the tone of the movie.
Yeah.
And 28 Days really does lend itself to a bleak ending kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like really so. And it makes me... I do hate the fact that you might have test audiences do ruining bleak endings simply because it's either that they're just like, I just want a happy ending kind of thing.
Why don't more films end darkly? I think this might be the key danger of the test audience.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Because a lot of people go to the cinema to be made feel better, not just feel and whatever that feeling might be.
Yeah, it's kind of a betrayal. For me, it's a betrayal of the tone of the film.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, but if, whatever. Yeah. So, the next one.
Oh, which is...
Starship Troopers.
Ah, yes.
Which is funny. It's a funny one because we were like, I read it and I was just like, I'm just going to add it in because it seems ridiculous.
Yeah, because Starship Troopers is Paul Verhoeven ridiculous. Like, it's great and ridiculous in so many ways. It was ahead of its time, behind its time, and it's of some other time. It's just a weird film in so many ways. And when you told me about this, I was like, yeah, I suppose that's if test audiences are going to react to one thing in that film, it's probably going to be none of the things you're thinking and be this weird thing, and that is Paul.
So
it's so strange.
The test audiences didn't like the fact that Carmen, the love interest of Rico, the main character,
Denise Richards' character, her big breakout role,
left Rico to focus on her career and it's in basic training. She breaks up with him because she's like, I think I'm going to go career, and so test audience didn't like that very much, that the love interest. But the second part to that is they also didn't like the fact that then she strikes up a romantic relationship with her commanding officer. So it kind of feels like a betrayal, so much so, this is the funny part, so much so that the character that Rico does end up with, Dizzy, she passes away, spoilers. Test audiences wanted Dizzy to survive and Carmen to get killed.
Yeah, so like I'm slightly older than Paul, so I can take this for the team. I'm the one that in the 90s could have been in this test audience more likely. What the hell was wrong with us back then? Somebody's like, you know what I don't like? I don't like the idea of a woman chasing a career and leaving that man in a film that had gigantic insects and Doogie Howser as a super genius. It was weird in its own way. But what the hell was wrong that that's one of the things that anybody thought? I don't know, these women with their career ideas, particularly when they're fighting the space war against the arachnid.
It's a backwards kind of thing. I guess it's why we can look back on it now and just be like, that's a ridiculous thing. You know, I wouldn't have minded. Like, I get the for story wise, the flip floppiness of her choosing a career
Yeah.
and then doing a relationship with your commanding officer.
Yeah.
But the career part don't get. Yes, I get the whole like flip floppiness, but wanting her to die in the character, like, it's just like, I hate that character. I want her to die. It's a bit much.
I'm going to go ahead and say that Denise Richards made some people feel certain. Just, I don't like her. She has a bit of bitch face or something. Maybe was that deep down, folks? If you were in that test audience, comment down below and let us know. Were you just jealous of her strangely kind of otherworldly plastic look? Like she really did have one of those faces. It was like, she's too young to have had plastic surgery, so she looks like that. That's weird. Picture above. There you go. Yeah, sorry.
So what they did was they downplayed the romantic relationship with their commanding officer. They removed a scene in it when that commanding officer, I can't remember his name, is like Barkley or something like that, dies. When Rico comes to save her, there's a kiss scene between the two of them. They removed that because they wanted you to be a little bit more sympathetic towards the Carmen character. So like essentially they tried to force the audience then to like her and be sympathetic about her a little bit more. So it's just a weird one. I know it's a weird one to end on for that list.
But it does give us a chance to do one of those "Would you like to know more?" cuts. There you go. That last one, I think, is just it's a good way of asking that open question as we close the video. What are test audiences doing today? Are they doing the good work of helping Scorsese make the next Goodfellas, or are they taking their current sensibilities, of which we know we live in a time with many people of many different sensibilities,
Incredibly polarizing.
and are they expressing that into every movie they're asked to watch? Because people are either one camp or the other these days, I guess. There's a polarized nature to society. So there are people sitting in movies finding reasons to go, no, that doesn't play to my agenda right now, so I'm going to give that feedback. I fear that may well be the case. So,
Yeah. So our question is, are they good or are they bad, and when to use them?
I think always use them, but don't always listen. It's like asking a friend for advice. Always good, but it should always help you reinforce your own decision.
Yeah.
So you can take it on board or take it as something that made you realize you were right all along.
Yeah, because these lists are essentially a number of films that this has happened to, where they did a test audience and then they changed the film a little bit. There's a couple of examples, like my favorite one is Big, the Tom Hanks film, which is when Tom Hanks's character ends up becoming his original.
He goes back to being a kid. Yeah.
That the studio wanted the woman to also turn into a kid so that they can grow up together and possibly fall in love. But the director and the writer stuck to their guns and went, no, she's an adult. She stays an adult, and it's just the way it is.
Think a true studio, though. The writers were right, because one of the weird things about Big was this kid, making out, as they used to say, with an older woman, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a maturity difference there. So what you're actually saying is shove this more mature person into a child's body and then have them go through a lot of that stuff with him as a kid. There's a hashtag for that. I just don't know what the hell it is. It's a hashtag not good.
Yeah. So so there's I do, like as you said, listen to them in a kind of way, but take it with a pinch of salt of maybe not changing them. I do think that studios will use these as weapons as well.
Yeah, to reinforce their own idea.
Yeah, as in we want this ending in the film because it's a lot more towards, we've seen the test audiences like it more or something. Or even if they're having a problem with a director and they're like, we need to change his idea on this, let's get a test audience in there and we can just prove the fact that this is a bad play kind of thing. So it's a double-edged sword there. Studios can also force directors and creatives like, you know, to change their ideas.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that studios might well hand-pick audiences that will reinforce their ideas. Not a conspiracy theory, a probable fact.
Yeah.
Because business is business and people want to get what they want to get. So, is there more?
No, like, I think, yeah, good, bad, they can be used for good things, they can be used for bad things. Like, you know, as long as there isn't, like, some secret ending to a film that we're never going to see because, like, and it's really, really good, but the studio was just like, don't want it.
Yeah.
That ever happens, you know?
Well, then do us a favour out there, grab your little dial, turn it all the way to like, or if you really want to help out, turn it all the way to hit subscribe. See what I did there? Yeah. I'm so needy. So yeah, give us your test feedback in the comments down below.
Yeah, if you know any other test audiences that have changed a big film or where creatives are stuck to their guns after a test audience kind of thing, let us know down below. You know.
And on that note, I've been Patrick.
And I've been Paul.
We've been Hear Us Out.
See you later.
Subscribe.